RW down here in the Mountain Storm shop, getting ready to make 18 more shell preppers out of Iroko, which is also known as African teak. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. It's pretty fun stuff. Let me get over here in the light. That's the end grain. That is really something, isn't it? Side grain. Edge grain. I thought, what the heck, let's smear a little spougats on it. Let's see what it looks like with a little spougats. This is linseed wax. It's a mixture of beeswax, linseed oil, and pure gum spirits. I'll just rub it on it real quick like. Rub it off. Wow, that's pretty amazing looking. Get my hands cleaned up. Right. Look at how it picks out those grain patterns, just that little bit of oil and wax. These are going to be real pretty. Light color. Very, very hard. But it's got a low density, so it's interesting. It's got a high Janka hardness, but a relatively low specific gravity. It's going to be some good shell prepper wood, I'll tell you that. Alright, stay tuned to see 18 shell preppers coming out of the shop later. The process of making these shell preppers, and one of the things that I really get a lot of pleasure out of is when I match the end grain. Because as I cut them, I'm cutting them so I can, in a sense, fold the next cut right on to it so that the grain pattern just runs all the way through it. I just think that's fun. Look at the sides. The sides of these things are going to be crazy looking, like little feathers, and then that pattern all through the top. These are going to be really fun looking. Now that I got them all taped up, matched up, they're all beautiful, they're all ready to go. I've got a little router template that has a precision hole in it that fits a shot shell just right, and then I have these little fixtures here, you know, on the template that can hold my block exactly where I want it. I've taped up a Forstner bit, and then I just mark the centers so I can drill them, and that's just to remove some material. I drill them at 3/4, remove some material, then I clamp them back on, and I route them to the exact precise height with a top bearing flush trimming bit. You guys have seen this all before, but this is mainly for my new subscribers and people that have come to my channel looking for the shell preppers. Just wanted to give you a little insight into what's going on. I asked why I use exotic woods, and it's because I've been working with wood for 30 years, and I just love experiencing new things with wood. And so, like Iroko, for instance, I've never milled it, I've never sanded it, I've never put a finish on it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's a pain or if it's a good thing. And that's when I find out, is when I do stuff like drill holes. And then I get to smell it, and I get to see how it comes out. I get to see how hard the drill bit's working. I get to see whether it burns or smokes as I'm cutting through it. So let's have a look at Iroko. Learn something. See what's going on. It cuts like mahogany. Makes those little ripply, paper-thin shavings. Smells kind of spicy, but not a real strong smell. The chips themselves really don't have any smell. It was just as they were getting hot that they were releasing a tiny little scent. It was kind of, I don't know, kind of like paper, but I don't know how to explain that. Anyway. So it mills really nice. Doesn't burn. Cuts super, super clean with no tear out. I think I'm liking this wood so far. So I drill a bunch of holes, and then I have to make sure that those holes were drilled in the right place, because there's a very, very small margin of error. And I'm in there. Time to route one out, see if it works. So, you know, I get a hole in it that the shell will rotate in, but won't rock back and forth in. And that's what I want. Now I'm going to head over to the bandsaw and slice off a corner of it. So once I've got it run through the bandsaw to slice off this little piece right here, then I touch it up on the sander, make sure my notch is just right for my blade, hinge it with a piece of tape so I can glue it and clamp it, and then I can finish the process. And the next step is I drill holes, right? I drill clearance holes, and then I drill tapping or threading holes for the self-tappers. And then I screw the little piece back on. And then I go over to the router and I route it off again. And the final thing I do before I profile it is I have to test it, make sure it's right so I can adjust it before I put any profile on it. And I just put the blade in there and I press it down just a touch so it'll stay. Right? And then I screw it down. So you can see what the deal is. There's just enough room for the crimp bead to be on the outside of the blade, and then it just runs, you just spin the shell around it and it'll just cut it right off. Pretty cool. So let's do the first test here, first shell. It's always the one that tells me everything I need to know about the rest of them. See if I got my jig set up, if everything's being cut in the right direction. Very, very close. Almost perfect. Didn't completely cut through it, but it left a really nice deal. Okay, I know just what to do. There's a special adjustment I can make. I'm going to show you. So here's the deal, guys. To get the blade to cut differently, you just have it enter the shell earlier or later, so to speak. And you need to have a certain depth sticking out so that it'll cut right. You don't want to be too far in, don't want to be too far back or forward. But what you can do, that's kind of a trick, you just take a nice stiff putty knife or whatever, screwdriver, and you just push the blade down so that it'll ride at an angle into the material just a little bit. Now I'm just a smidge below the surface of there, just a smidge. It's amazing how much like a 64th will make a difference. Let's test it again. Okay, let's give it a second test here. See how this one cuts. If I get the same thing or if it cuts perfect. Yeah, it cut perfect this time. So now, just a slight pressure downward on the blade. These Winchester hulls really suck. The Winchester Universals are like the worst hulls. Federal is really nice. Remington's good. Something about these, I've always had to have the blade set a little bit more finicky, a little deeper, or whatever. So if it'll cut these, it'll cut anything. That's why I use them. Alright guys, so here we have the first Iroko shell prepper that I know works. Right? Now I'm just going to set it aside because there's several more processes to go. But the way I do is once I'm set up, I do everything all at once. If I'm using my router to do a particular function, I'm going to do all of those functions for all of them. And then I'll move to profiling them and on and so forth. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Thanks for supporting Mountain Storm. You can get your shell preppers by contacting me at rw_keeton@yahoo.com. And I stand behind all my work. You ever have any problems with anything, just get a hold of me. I'll send you another one, refund your money, whatever. I've never had to do that, and I hope I never have to, because I check everything 3 times before it goes out, guys. I'm real proud of my work, and I want you to enjoy it, and I want you guys just to treasure these things and use them forever. These will last your lifetime.